Over the past few days, one name has quietly taken over the internet again: Shedeur Sanders. Not because of a game-winning drive, not because of a headline-making interview, and not because of anything that happened under stadium lights. This time, it's something far less expected, but somehow far more attention-grabbing. A series of off-season workout clips, short, simple, and easy to overlook at first glance, have completely shifted the conversation around him. And what's surprising isn't just the clips themselves, but the reaction they've triggered. These aren't just going viral for entertainment, they're making people stop, analyze, and debate what they're really seeing. Because suddenly, it's not just fans watching anymore. Analysts, critics, even casual viewers are all locking in, trying to figure out if this is real growth or just another off-season illusion. Every throw in those clips is being replayed, slowed down, dissected. The footwork looks tighter, the release looks quicker, the confidence feels different, noticeably different. And that's where the divide begins. Some people are already calling it the start of a breakout season, saying this is the version of Shedeur that could change everything. Others aren't convinced at all, arguing that we've seen this story before. Players who look unstoppable in workouts only to struggle when the real games begin. And that tension is exactly what makes this moment so interesting, because this isn't just about how good he looks in training, it's about what it represents. The timing of it all matters. The pressure surrounding him is already building. The expectations are higher than ever. And now, with every clip circulating online, that spotlight is only getting brighter. It feels like every move he makes right now is being watched with a different level of intensity, like people are waiting, some hoping for a breakout, others waiting to say, "We told you so." But if you look closely, there's something deeper happening here. This doesn't feel random. It doesn't feel like someone just posting workouts to stay relevant. It feels controlled, intentional, almost like a quiet statement being made without saying a single word. And that's what's pulling people in. Because whether you believe in the hype or not, one thing is undeniable. This version of Shedeur Sanders is getting attention in a way we haven't quite seen before. And now the real question starts to build. Is this the beginning of something real, or just the calm before everything gets tested when it actually counts? It started quietly, just a few clips here and there, nothing major at first, nothing that screamed headline news. But then something shifted. One video turned into five turned into dozens, and before anyone really noticed what was happening, Shedeur Sanders was everywhere again. Social media feeds filled up with the same sequences, dropbacks, tight spirals, quick releases, and people couldn't stop replaying them, not because they were flashy or over the top, but because something about them felt different, sharper, more controlled, more deliberate. The details started to stand out the more you watched. His footwork looked cleaner, almost effortless. The ball was coming out faster with less hesitation. Even his movement in the pocket during drills had a certain calm to it, like everything was slowing down around him while he stayed in complete control. These weren't just random reps being thrown together for content. Every motion felt intentional, like there was a specific focus behind each throw, and that's when the conversation began to change. Fans immediately picked up on it, calling it gross, calling it evolution, calling it the version of Shedeur that people had been waiting to see. Comments flooded in talking about a breakout season before a single snap had even been played. But at the same time, the other side showed up just as fast. Critics pushed back hard, saying this is exactly how off-season hype works. Clean environments, no real pressure, no defenders, no consequences. They argued that looking elite in training doesn't always mean anything when the lights turn on. And just like that, the narrative split in two. On one side, belief was building fast. On the other, doubt wasn't going anywhere. But what made this moment different was the intensity of the reaction. These weren't just casual takes or passing opinions. People were locked in, analyzing every frame, debating every detail, trying to figure out if what they were seeing was real or just another illusion created by perfect conditions. Because deep down, everyone understood one thing: if this version of Shedeur Sanders is real, then everything about his upcoming season could change. And if it's not, then the fallback to reality is going to be just as loud. The criticism never really left. Even as the clips kept gaining traction, there was still a constant wave of doubt following Shedeur Sanders everywhere. People kept repeating the same questions. Can he actually deliver when it matters? Has he truly proven anything yet? Or is this just another case of hype building faster than results? Normally, in moments like this, players respond. They post statements, fire back in interviews, or try to control the narrative with words. But that's not what's happening here. Instead, the response has been almost completely silent. No long explanations, no public arguments, no attempts to convince anyone. Just more work, more clips, more reps. And that silence is what's making it louder, because every new video feels less like content and more like a message. Not an emotional response, not a defensive reaction, just a steady, controlled way of saying, "Watch this." It's subtle, but it's powerful, and people are starting to notice that shift. There's a difference between someone trying to prove people wrong and someone preparing like they already know what's coming. And right now, it feels like Shedeur is operating in that second space. The focus looks different. The energy feels more locked in. It's not about chasing validation anymore. It's about building something that can't be ignored when the season starts. And whether you believe in it or not, that kind of approach changes how people see you. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Staying quiet doesn't remove pressure, it actually increases it. Because when you choose not to talk, everything comes down to performance. There's no room for excuses, no safety net, no way to spin the narrative later. And for someone like Shedeur Sanders, who's already under one of the brightest spotlights in college football, that decision makes the stakes even higher. Because now, every throw, every game, every moment is going to have to answer those doubts without a single word being said. There's a layer to this story that most players never have to deal with, and it changes everything about how Shedeur Sanders is viewed before he even steps on the field. It's not just the position he plays, or the expectations tied to being a quarterback, it's the name attached to him. Being coached by his own father, Deion Sanders, instantly places him in a different category. This isn't a normal situation. This isn't just a coach-player relationship. This is legacy, spotlight, and pressure, all combined into one. Because when you're connected to someone like Coach Prime, the attention doesn't build slowly, it's already there from day one. Every move gets amplified, every performance gets compared, and every success or failure is viewed through a completely different lens. For some, that connection is seen as an advantage, a built-in system designed to help him succeed. But for others, it becomes the main reason they question everything he does, assuming the spotlight is earned more by the name than the performance. That constant debate creates a unique kind of pressure. It's not just about playing well, it's about proving that you belong there in your own right. And that's much harder than it sounds, because no matter how well he performs, there will always be people asking the same question in the background. Would he be getting this attention if his last name was different? That question doesn't go away easily, and it follows him into every game, every highlight, every moment. At the same time, there's another side to this that often gets overlooked. Playing under Deion Sanders also means being held to a higher standard than most players could handle. The expectations inside that environment are intense. Discipline isn't optional, focus isn't negotiable, and mistakes don't just reflect on you, they reflect on something bigger. That kind of environment can either wear a player down over time or sharpen them into something much stronger. And right now, it's starting to look like it's doing the second. The chemistry between them is visible, but it's not just about comfort, it's about structure. There's a clear system, a clear mindset, and a clear expectation of growth. And when you combine that with the work we're seeing in those off-season clips, it starts to paint a different picture. Not one of someone relying on a name, but someone trying to build something of their own within that spotlight. But here's where it gets even more intense, because as the season approaches, that connection won't just bring attention, it will multiply the pressure. Every game won't just be about performance, it will be about validation. And for Shedeur Sanders, that means one thing. The moment he steps onto the field, he's not just playing to win, he's playing to prove that everything people are saying on both sides is either right or completely wrong. This upcoming season doesn't feel like a fresh start, it feels like a countdown. The attention surrounding Shedeur Sanders isn't slowly building anymore, it's already at a peak before a single snap has been played. Every headline, every discussion, every clip has led to this exact moment, and now there's no hiding from it. The expectations are no longer in the background, they're front and center, and they're only getting heavier as kickoff gets closer. Because this time, nothing comes as a surprise. Last season introduced him to the spotlight, but this season throws him directly into the middle of it with no filter. Opponents aren't guessing anymore, they're preparing. Every throw he made, every tendency he showed, every weakness that appeared on film has already been studied and broken down. Defensive coordinators are building plans specifically to stop him. They know what he likes to do, where he's most comfortable, and where he can be forced into mistakes, and that changes everything. There's a big difference between stepping onto the field as a rising name and stepping onto it as a target. Last season, there were moments where he could catch defenses off guard. This time, he is the focus. Every team he faces will treat that game differently. The pressure won't just come from fans or media, it will come from every snap, every read, every decision he has to make under real game speed. And that kind of pressure doesn't fade, it builds with every possession. What makes this even more intense is how public everything has become. Every performance will be analyzed in real time. Every mistake will be replayed, discussed, and questioned, and every success will come with even higher expectations the following week. There's no middle ground anymore. He won't have the luxury of developing quietly. This season will unfold in front of everyone, with every detail under a microscope. And yet, within all that pressure, there's also opportunity. Because this is the kind of stage that doesn't just test players, it defines them. Some quarterbacks get overwhelmed when everything speeds up around them. Others slow the game down and rise above it. And right now, all signs point to Shedeur Sanders stepping into that second category. But belief isn't enough anymore. Because as soon as the first game begins, none of the buildup matters. The clips disappear, the conversations fade, and everything comes down to execution. Every read, every throw, every decision under pressure will start answering the question people have been asking this entire time. Not what he looks like in training, but what he becomes when the pressure is real. What most people are focusing on right now is the physical side, the throws, the footwork, the mechanics. But the real shift happening with Shedeur Sanders isn't something you immediately notice in a highlight clip. It's happening in the part of the game that doesn't always go viral, the mental side, the decision-making, the ability to read, react, and stay composed when everything around you starts moving faster than expected. And that's the difference between a quarterback who looks good and one who actually controls the game. If you watch closely, there's a change in how he approaches each rep. The movements feel more deliberate, but more importantly, they feel connected to what he's seeing, not just what he's doing. That split-second processing, the ability to recognize coverage, anticipate pressure, and make the right choice without hesitation is what separates average quarterbacks from elite ones. And right now, it looks like that part of his game is starting to catch up with his physical tools. The throws aren't just accurate, they're timed better. The decisions aren't just quick, they're more confident. That kind of growth doesn't come from talent alone. It comes from experience, from mistakes, from moments where things didn't go as planned. It comes from studying film, understanding defenses, and learning how to stay calm when the pocket collapses or when the first option disappears. And that's where things start to get interesting, because mental development is much harder to fake. You can't simulate real pressure forever. At some point, your instincts take over, and those instincts are built over time. And what we're seeing now feels like the early stages of that transformation. Not just a player improving his skills, but a quarterback beginning to understand how to control the flow of the game. The pace, the timing, the decisions, it all starts in the mind first. And if that part of Shedeur Sanders is truly evolving the way it appears to be, then the conversation around him might be missing the most important detail. Because physical improvement gets attention, but mental growth is what changes everything. There's another shift happening that doesn't show up in stats or slow-motion clips, but it might be the most important one of all. It's the way Shedeur Sanders is starting to carry himself around the team. Because being a quarterback isn't just about making throws, it's about setting a tone that everyone else follows. And right now, that tone is beginning to change in a way that feels bigger than just individual improvement. You can see it in the way teammates respond during workouts and the energy around him, in the small moments that don't make headlines but shape how a team functions. There's a growing sense of belief, not just in what he can do, but in what the entire group can become with him leading it. That kind of trust doesn't happen overnight. It builds through consistency, through showing up every day with the same focus, the same intensity, the same standard. And when players start buying into that, everything begins to shift. Leadership at that level isn't loud all the time. It's not always speeches or big emotional moments. Sometimes it's quieter, more controlled. It's in the way you handle pressure, the way you respond after mistakes, the way you keep the group steady when things aren't going perfectly. And that's where the change becomes noticeable. The composure he's showing individually is starting to extend outward, influencing how the team moves as a whole. What makes this even more important is the position he plays. Quarterback is the center of everything. Every play runs through him, every decision impacts the outcome, and every player in that huddle looks to him for direction. If that presence is strong, the team feels it. If it's uncertain, the team feels that too. And right now, it's starting to look like Shedeur Sanders is stepping into that responsibility with a different level of control. But leadership only truly shows itself when things get difficult. It's easy to lead when everything is working. The real test comes when momentum swings, when mistakes happen, when pressure builds in real time. And as this season approaches, that's the situation he's walking into. Because if this shift in leadership holds under those moments, then it won't just change how people see him, it could change the direction of the entire team. What makes this version of Shedeur Sanders so different isn't just what he's doing now, it's what he's already been through. Because the reality is, last season wasn't a smooth rise, it wasn't a perfect story. There were flashes where everything clicked, moments where he looked like he could take over a game. But right alongside those highs came the struggles. Tough losses, missed opportunities, and stretches where the pressure felt heavier than anything happening on the field. And with that came noise, a lot of it. Criticism started building quickly, and it didn't take long for the conversation to shift from excitement to doubt. People began questioning whether he could actually handle the expectations, whether the hype had come too early, whether he was ready for what came next. That kind of attention doesn't just fade away, it follows you, it lingers, and it forces you to either respond or get buried under it. But that's where adversity starts to separate players. Because when things don't go your way, you don't have many options. You either let it affect how you play, how you think, how you prepare, or you take it and turn it into something useful. And right now, it looks like he chose the second path. Instead of stepping back, instead of trying to avoid the criticism, he leaned into it, used it as fuel, let it shape how he approached the offseason, how he trained, how he focused on the details that needed to change. That's why these recent clips feel different. They don't just look like improvement, they look like response. Not emotional, not reactive, but calculated. Like every adjustment came from something that didn't go right before. Every cleaner movement, every sharper throw, every more controlled rep feels connected to lessons that were learned the hard way. And that's something you can't fake, because it comes from experience, not just talent. The players who reach another level usually go through this phase, the moment where everything gets questioned, where nothing comes easy, where the pressure forces growth whether you're ready or not. And if you come out of that stronger, more focused, more aware of your own game, that's when things start to change. That's when development turns into transformation. So when you look at Shedeur Sanders right now, you're not just looking at someone who trained hard in the offseason, you're looking at someone who was pushed, tested, and forced to adjust under real pressure. And if that process truly shaped him the way it appears to have, then what comes next might look very different from what people are expecting. Now everything comes down to this. Not the clips, not the offseason, not the debates online, just the season ahead. For Shedeur Sanders, this isn't just another year on the schedule. This is the moment where everything people have been saying, both positive and negative, finally gets tested in real time. Because at this stage, potential stops being enough, progress stops being enough. It's about production, consistency, and delivering when there's no room left for excuses. The spotlight has never been bigger, and neither has the pressure. Every game will carry weight. Every performance will feed the narrative one way or the other. If he plays well, the conversation shifts fast. Suddenly it's not about hype anymore, it's about legitimacy. It's about being one of the top quarterbacks in the game. And once that door opens, the next level starts getting mentioned more seriously. NFL scouts, analysts, and insiders will all start paying closer attention, breaking down every throw, every decision, every moment under pressure. But the other side of that reality is just as strong, because if things don't go the way people expect, the criticism will return even louder than before. That's the nature of this kind of spotlight. There's no middle ground. You either rise with it, or it turns against you quickly. And that's what makes this season so important. It's not just about winning games, it's about controlling the narrative that's been building around him for months. There's also the challenge of consistency, which is where most players get exposed. It's one thing to have a big game, to show flashes of what you're capable of. It's another to do it week after week, with defenses adjusting, with pressure increasing, and with expectations growing after every performance. That's where separation happens. That's where good players either plateau or take the leap into something much bigger. And that's why this feels like a turning point. Because everything leading up to now, every workout, every adjustment, every lesson from last season has been building toward this exact stretch of games. This is where the work shows up or it doesn't. This is where the confidence either proves itself or gets questioned again. So the question isn't whether Shedeur Sanders has the tools. It's not even whether he's improved. The real question is much simpler and much harder at the same time. When the pressure hits its peak, when the games actually matter, when everything is on the line, can he deliver the kind of season that changes how everyone sees him? And now, everything reaches the point where none of the buildup can protect you anymore. For Shedeur Sanders, the offseason is officially over, not just physically, but mentally. The clips have done their job, the conversations have already taken over, the expectations are locked in. But from this moment forward, none of that carries any weight, because football has a way of stripping everything down to one simple truth: what you do when it actually counts. The moment he steps onto the field, the entire narrative resets. There are no highlights to lean on, no training footage to fall back on, no debates to hide behind. Just the game. Real speed, real pressure, real consequences. The kind of environment where hesitation gets exposed and confidence gets tested instantly. And that's where the difference shows up, not in how good things looked before, but in how controlled everything feels when it matters the most. Picture the scene for a second. The stadium is loud, the energy is tense, and every single eye is locked in on him. The snap comes fast, the pocket shifts, the defense moves. In a split second, a decision has to be made. No time to think twice, no room for doubt, just instinct, preparation, and execution. That one moment, simple on the surface, is where everything he's built starts to show itself. Or doesn't. Because this is where potential either turns into something real or stays exactly what it was, a possibility. And the truth is, no one can predict how that moment will play out. Not the fans, not the critics, not even the people closest to the situation. That's what makes it so compelling, that uncertainty, that tension between what could happen and what actually will. But one thing is clear, Shedeur Sanders isn't walking into this unprepared. The focus, the work, the response to everything that came before, it all points to someone who understands exactly what's at stake. And sometimes that awareness is what separates players who simply compete from those who take control of the moment. So now, there's nothing left to build, nothing left to say, and nothing left to prove in theory. The stage is set, the pressure is real, and the next time he steps onto that field, the only thing that matters is what happens next.